Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We will get started in just a few minutes as we wait for more folks to trickle in. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We'll go ahead and get started for today's Community Power Accelerator informational webinar for round 3. We're so excited that you're here and you're going to learn so much about this new round of the Community Power Accelerator, and we're looking forward to telling you all about it. My name is Kaylee Isaacs, and I'm from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. I'm the prize administrator for the Community Power Accelerator Prize, and I'm joined today by Allie Robbins, the Community Power Accelerator point of contact from the U.S. Department of Energy, the Solar Energy Technologies Office. So you'll be hearing from Allie in just a few slides. And before we get started, I wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items for all of you. First, we have a couple of options for audio, either listening through your computer or you can call in by phone. If you want to ask a question, please do so through the Q&A option on Zoom. Don't do it through the chat because we might not see it. So please make sure you ask your questions through the Q&A, and you can ask those throughout this entire presentation. And if you're having any trouble with the webinar, any technical difficulties, feel free to chat us. Let us know that you're having those difficulties, and our webinar host, Carly, will be able to assist you to the best of her ability. And then also, just so you all know that this webinar is being recorded, we will be posting the recording as well as the slides to this presentation on HeroX shortly after. So you can stay tuned for that. So if you want to pass this along to anybody else, you can access it on HeroX. For our agenda today, we'll plan to cover the following. We have the National Community Solar Partnership Plus and Community Power Accelerator overview. We'll talk through the prize as well as phase 1 and what you need to know so you're prepared as much as possible for phase 1 and the submission deadline. We'll also briefly talk about phase 2 and phase 3 and what you can expect in those phases. And then we'll give you some resources for you to get started so you can start your submission today. We encourage you to submit early, by the way, and then we'll do our Q&A as the last portion of this presentation. I'd like to just give a quick overview as well of the American Made program. The American Made program is proud to host the Community Power Accelerator Prize. And for anyone unfamiliar with this program, it is powered by the U.S. Department of Energy and administered by NREL to incentivize innovation through prizes, training, teaming, and mentoring. If you'd like to learn more about American Made or join our amazing network, please visit americanmadechallenges.org. You can also find a whole bunch of other prizes through the American Made program. All right, now it's my pleasure to introduce Allie Robbins from the U.S. Department of Energy, and she will be able to provide you an overview of the National Community Solar Partnership Plus, as well as the Community Power Accelerator Program. Allie, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaylee. Hi, everyone. And thank you for joining us today to talk about an exciting new round of the Community Power Accelerator Prize. This round is substantially different than the previous 2 rounds. So Kaylee and I are going to walk you through all those fine details. And we, again, are so grateful for you all being here. I'm Allie Robbins. I'm a contractor at the U.S. Department of Energy. I support the National Community Solar Partnership Plus, along with leading the Community Power Accelerator, and I have the honor of leading this prize. Next slide, please. So since its launch in 2016, the National Community Solar Partnership has focused on expanding community solar access and addressing the challenges to scaling community solar deployment across the country. But if you have not heard the good news, we actually have now expanded the scope of this program, and it is now known as the National Community Solar Partnership Plus. So it is scaled beyond community solar, which is really exciting for those of you who are interested in this prize. So we aim to scale up opportunities for low to moderate income residential rooftop solar plus storage, community benefiting commercial solar projects, microgrids, and distributed solar plus storage aggregations, such as virtual power plants. The prize you're going to hear about today is, again, open to all of these forms of distributed solar generation. So quite an expansion. The graphic on the left-hand side of your screen gives you a good flavor of all the resources that the National Community Solar Partnership Plus offers, including an innovative technical assistance model that combines our online community networking and peer-to-peer learning program, along with additional funding opportunities, tools, trainings, data collection, analysis. The list goes on, but do check out all of the resources that we have at the National Community Solar Partnership Plus. We have heard time and again how access to capital continues to be a major barrier for project deployment. Solar developers and community organizations often lack solar expertise, capacity, and most importantly, the pre-development funds that are necessary to get access to that wider set of capital. And then we have the additional challenge of capital providers, including philanthropic organizations and other lenders, who are reluctant to invest in projects that they view as risky or difficult to assess. So our answer to that really deep challenge has been the Community Power Accelerator. We're going to go more into that in just a second, but I want to show you the next slide to just plug NCSP Plus. So go ahead and scan that QR code, just a big general ask. Our online community forum is if you're trying to, for instance, answer a really sticky development question, or you're searching for an EPC or your next partner on a project, we post a whole host of really juicy resources there, and you can interact with all of the staff at DOE who support the National Community Solar Partnership Plus. It's really our first point of connection to all of you out there who are aiming to build these solar projects with meaningful benefits. So next slide, please. So what are the 5 meaningful benefits? We know that expanding access to benefits of solar and storage is key to accelerate the equitable transition to clean energy. So the National Community Solar Partnership Plus is helping expand access to the benefits of solar, providing savings to households, building community wealth and resilience, and creating jobs, especially in those low income and disadvantaged communities. All of this is in line with this administration's Justice 40 initiative. So just to also point out, all of the projects on the accelerator must meet at least one of these meaningful benefits. The prize itself has some heightened requirements around the meaningful benefits, which we'll get into in just a few slides. So next slide, please. Cool. So getting down to brass tacks here, the Community Power Accelerator aims to build a pipeline of credit-ready solar projects that provide meaningful benefits to underserved communities. We provide developers with that training and that technical expertise, and we also connect them with those mission-aligned investors and philanthropic organizations that can provide capital at the exact right moment. So please go ahead, next slide. Wonderful. So this is a lovely rainbow slide. It's one of my favorites. It gives you a great sense of who all the folks are on the Community Power Accelerator and the ecosystem that's available for you all to take advantage of today, right now. You do not have to win this prize to use the Community Power Accelerator. If you take nothing else away from this conversation, it is that you should be on the Community Power Accelerator regardless of your interest in the prize, because we have $1.5 billion in available capital on the accelerator today, looking for projects just like yours to invest in. Next slide, please. So this gives you a nice, good cut of all of the variety of resources and services that the Community Power Accelerator provides. So we have a learning series that includes several different courses. We just recently announced a massive open online course, which is, I'm proud to say, entirely free. It teaches you soup to nuts on how to build community solar, and you can take advantage of that right now. We also, as I just mentioned, more about the marketplace. So think about this as sort of a matchmaking platform for, again, if you have these projects that are being built with the meaningful benefits, you can use the marketplace to find your financial match. We also have a newly revamped credit ready checklist. I'm really excited about this because, again, if you are an organization, you're just getting started in your solar journey and you're like, I have no idea where to start here in terms of the development timeline, the credit ready checklist is going to walk you line by line to all of the things that you need to do in order to bring your projects ultimately to a financier and get that funding secured. I'm also proud to say that we have a technical assistance program through the Community Power Accelerator. So if you're dealing with a particularly sticky question, you are working with a property that has a unique watershed on it, for instance, you can use and leverage one of our partners in our technical assistance program to really hone in and get solutions to those problems. And then, of course, we're here today because of the Community Power Accelerator Prize, which is really essential in getting that pre-development funding. We have funded 50 developer teams to date. We've done 2 rounds, and now we're in the 3rd round. So incredibly excited, and I see some familiar faces from some folks. So yeah, really excited to be kicking off this conversation today. So these are just some screenshots of what the marketplace looks like. You can go ahead and scan that QR code. Again, really want each and every one of you. I want to see all of your names coming through to my email at the end of this call that you have signed up for the Community Power Accelerator online marketplace. One thing to note here is that we do vet all of the projects. There are no lurkers allowed on this marketplace. So if you are a real deal developer, and you are ready to go and meet your financing match, you will definitely be hearing from one of us on our team and our national lab team to make sure that these projects are in fact real and ready for that pre-development step. Next slide, please. So this is just gives you a nice, good flavor of the courses that we offer through the accelerator. One of the really exciting parts about the prize, which we'll get to, is that we do have these live instructor-led virtual courses that again cover the soup to nuts of how to build distributed solar projects. I will say one of the really fun, as somebody who's taken the courses, one of the really fun, unique aspects of having that live aspect is that you are working in tandem with your cohort, right? There are certain problems, like as a developer, that come up, and that peer-to-peer learning aspect is really invaluable. So I do highly encourage you to check out all of the hosts of resources of our courses that we have with the University of New Hampshire Kersey School Center for Impact Finance. Definitely do some deep dives there. Next slide, please. Awesome. So our technical assistance program, I already mentioned to you that credit ready checklist. If you need help filling that out, or if you're getting stuck on a particular question, that's where our technical assistance program comes into play. If you are uncertain about, do I check this box on my project profile within the Community Power Accelerator, that is a good place to ask those questions. And huge thank you to our partners at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory who help run our technical assistance program. And we do have quite a robust bench of folks who support that program as well. You can see some of those names here listed at the bottom of this slide. Next slide, please. Wonderful. So again, just wanted to highlight here, this credit ready checklist has been entirely revamped, right? And we developed it in collaboration with over 40 financial institutions who are familiar with solar lending and tax equity. this kind of work gets really, really complicated at times. So we have tried to do our best to provide you with a checklist that is meaningful and easily interpreted. So again, if you need help filling out that checklist, that's where that technical assistance comes in as well. But it is definitely self-paced. So I encourage all of you to go ahead and take a look at that as well. Next slide, please. And then finally, our Philanthropy Ready Guide. So, going after philanthropy and going out there and getting those grants, it's an entirely different beast than going and trying to court private equity, for instance. So we've created a really handy dandy guide in partnership with Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. So that you can get your projects philanthropy ready. And this really just shows you the hot tips and tricks of how to make your case for that funding. Next slide, please. And then, of course, last but not least, just to give you a nice flavor of who is on the accelerator. This list is not exhaustive by any means, but definitely wanted to showcase it in case you see some household names on here. Our partners are really hyped. There has never been a better moment. There's never been more federal and private dollars out there on the street for clean energy projects. So huge thank you to our partners who support the accelerator, and definitely encourage, again, all of you to sign up and start using the accelerator today, regardless of if you win the prize, okay? So with that, I will pass it over to my colleague, Kaylee Isaacs, who's gonna get into some nitty-gritty details about this round of the prize. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ali. Really appreciate that overview and the background on NCSP Plus and the Community Power Accelerator program. So now that we have some information on Community Power Accelerator, let's turn our attention to the prize itself. So what is the Community Power Accelerator Prize all about? The prize is a $10 million three-phase prize designed to fast-track the efforts of new, emerging, and expanding solar developers and co-developers to learn, participate in, and get financing for multiple successful distributed solar projects. This prize seeks to increase the number of equitable distributed solar projects by funding or providing funding throughout the project pre-development process, by providing tools and resources to connect developers with private sector financing. We're providing training to understand the full cycle of distributed solar development, and as well as providing free consulting to competitors on the next steps necessary to get distributed solar projects financed. And also we provide coaching on expanding developer solar customer markets. And by the end of this prize, all of our competitors will be ready to engage on the Community Power Accelerator marketplace. As Ali mentioned, we'd love to get you signed up now so you get familiar with it. And if you participate in the prize, by the end of this prize, you'll be able to fully use that marketplace to its full capabilities and get financing for all of your distributed solar projects. And as Ali has alluded to, in round 3, it's a little bit different than our previous rounds of prizes. This round has expanded business models. And so we are not just doing community solar, we are doing community benefiting distributed solar. We'll also call it distributed solar. But these models include community solar projects, distributed energy resource aggregation projects, microgrid projects, commercial and industrial projects, and more. So it's not limited to just these on this slide. You can have a different business model. And if you have any questions on that, please let us know. We're really excited about this, though, as we have found that there is a lot of ways to make impact and to provide benefits to communities through different solar projects. So we're looking forward to being able to see all of your different projects out there through this prize. As I mentioned previously, it's a $10 million prize, the Community Power Accelerator Round 3. So for this prize, we are currently in phase 1, but it has 3 phases total. In phase 1, we are anticipating selecting up to 25 winners, and each of those winners will receive $50,000 per winner In phase two, again, we can select up to 25, and those winners will receive $200,000 each per winner. And then phase three, again, selecting up to 25 and 150,000 per winner. What's unique about the Community Power Accelerator is that this is not a down select prize. So you're not competing with other competitors to make sure that you get selected in phase two and phase three. We want everybody to be successful in this prize. So that's why we are selecting still up to 25 in phase two and phase three as well. Ooh, going ahead. All right, so a little bit more information about each of our phases: ready, set, and grow. So in phase one, we're looking to identify new or expanding solar developers and co-developers who have a high potential to develop at least 1 megawatt of that distributed solar projects that incorporate meaningful benefits. This prize was launched on September 9th and will go through December 17th. Phase two, this phase is to recognize those successful distributed solar pre-development activities through the participation of the foundation's course, coaching, and completion of the credit ready checklist. This is anticipated to begin in February and to go through December of 2025. And so you must apply to and win phase one to be eligible for phase two. If you do not win phase one, you cannot move on to phase two. And then finally, in phase three, our phase two winners will engage in the Community Power Accelerator and secure investment commitments for their distributed solar portfolio of at least 1 megawatt. And this phase is anticipated to begin in September of 2025 and go through August of 2026. So the Community Power Accelerator is open to U.S. solar developers, including new developers, co-developers, and co-developers. We define that as organizations who are partnering with a project developer and those who are expanding their solar operations. The prize is seeking developers who have the desire and ambition to develop at a project portfolio of at least 1 megawatt of distributed solar with meaningful benefits incorporated. So also with this, this is new for round three, that the portfolio must have the following 2 meaningful benefits, which is the equitable access and consumer protections, as well as meaningful household savings. You must have those 2 meaningful benefits in your portfolio. And then each portfolio must also include at least one of the following benefits: the resilience, storage, and grid benefits, community-led economic development, and solar workforce development. So again, your portfolio of at least 2 projects totaling up to 1 megawatt needs to have a minimum of 3 meaningful benefits, but 2 of those are required to have. And so it doesn't mean that each site has to have both of the top 2 required meaningful benefits. You can have site A have just meaningful household savings, and maybe it also has community-led economic development, and maybe site B has that equitable access and consumer protections, and maybe it has another meaningful benefits, or maybe it doesn't, but that would hit that requirement there. And then just noting that single projects are not eligible for this prize. To talk a little bit more about eligibility and who can participate for this prize, we are really encouraging organizations who are new to community benefiting distributed solar development to apply for this prize. So we're looking for organizations such as community-based organizations that have some real estate portfolios or are in construction, multifamily affordable housing providers, state, local, and municipal governments, intermediate organizations as well, general contractors or with roofing or electric experience, and more. So you can see this full list as well in the prize rules and the eligibility of who is eligible for this prize. So please take a look at that and make sure that you're eligible. But if you have any questions about it, please let us know. We'd be happy to help. But yeah, if you have some experience with distributed solar and you want to apply, please do. Another thing that we have for this prize are power connectors. Power connectors are a select group of industry leaders within the American-made network that have been contracted to support prize participants and program objectives. For our power connector for the Community Power Accelerator Prize is Entrepreneur Future Networks, or EFN. They're our power connector for the first phase of this round. They will be holding educational and teaming webinars as well as weekly office hours. They also have a Find a Partner teaming feature to help solar developers source and team with community-based organizations. So you can utilize this free resource for you to ask questions about the prize, receive some verbal feedback on your submission materials, or participate in any of these events that they are hosting. We have their contact information on this slide, but we'll also drop it into the chat. And we also have Tom Jensen with us on the call right now. Tom, would you like to say hello to the group?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Um, we're just very happy to help. Um, we have experience with planning solar projects and planning microgrid projects in residential and then C&I as well. I think some of the more valuable things that we could do to help people is to try to give you some advice, not only on sort of how to apply and how to create a great application, but how to connect with and how to effectively communicate with partners. I think that Ali was saying and talking about the Community Power Accelerator ecosystem. I think that's a great resource for finding people, connecting. We're familiar with other resources as well. So I would encourage you to schedule one-on-one or small group calls with me. We'll talk in more detail about those resources and the kind of advice that we can provide during our October 17th teaming webinar. So thanks so much, Kaylee.
Thanks so much, Tom. Appreciate having you on the call and helping us with this round on the Community Power Accelerator. And also just noting, if you are a co-developer and you're like wanting to partner with another solar developer, or maybe you're a community-based organization and you don't really know where to start, come to this networking event on October 17th. The goal for this is to partner you with someone that has experience in solar development, and we can help you, and that can help you for your prize application. All right, now let's go through phase one and what you need to know to be successful for this phase. So phase one is the first of the three phases for this prize, and it will award up to 25 competitors with $50,000 each in cash prizes. The goal of phase one is to identify new or expanding distributed solar developers and co-developers with a high potential to develop at least 1 megawatt of equitable distributed solar projects that include at least 2 of those meaningful benefits, but again, are not 2, 3 of those meaningful benefits, 2 that are required here. So again, the portfolio must include those 2 meaningful benefits that we have listed out on this slide. And then they also have to include another meaningful benefits, and it's your choice of those 3 remaining meaningful benefits. Additionally, phase one winners will need to designate a single individual to participate in the Community Power Accelerator Foundations of Community Benefiting Commercial Scale Solar course. Whew. But that course will run from February 2025 through April 2025. So there will be more information for our phase one winners about that course and the timing and everything for it. So the phase one is currently open and it will close on December 17th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And we're anticipating announcing in February of 2025. You can read the rules and more information about phase one at the link that will drop into the chat as well. And you can find those rules additionally in that link, but you can find them on HeroX, which is our prize platform. I'm quickly going to do a HeroX live demo here. So please follow along, scan that QR code, or go to the link at the chat, herox.com/Community Power Accelerator round 3 to do a quick HeroX demo. And let me get to my HeroX here. All right. So HeroX, this is our summary page that you can see. This has our general information about the prize and the prize series, timeline, all of our important dates, and all of the events that are happening. So if you're wanting to attend EFN's teaming event coming up on October 17th, you can find that here and register for it. You can also register for the next one in November. Any updates, any important information that we are providing to you all will be in this piece. So make sure that you check out our updates as they come out. If you have any questions and you want to post them here on the forum, please do. We encourage that because not only can we answer you more quickly, it doesn't get bogged down in email, but also then any other competitor can see those questions, and we think that's helpful. That, maybe someone else also has a similar question. Maybe they don't want to ask it, they're not sure. Post it here and we can answer and everyone can see the answer. Teams, you can see who all is interested in this prize. Entries, once you submit, you can go to entries and you can see your entry, edit it. You can edit your submission up till the submission deadline. So get your submission in now and you can always come back to it and work on it. But so then that way you don't have any technical issues. Resources here, this is where you can find the prize rules. You can get the contact information for our power connectors, as well as any of our templates for the phases. And then here are some of our most frequently asked questions. If you are curious on what a power connector is or who's behind the prize or what the American Made program is, you can find that information here. But if you are wanting to join this prize, make a submission, make sure that you follow it and then solve this challenge here. It'll ask you some questions and you will accept. And then from here, you can create your own team, join a team, or you can compete individually. And then from here is when you'll see begin entry. And this is where you can start your submission here. So you'll see everything that you need to agree to, and then you can start entering your information. That is HeroX. If you have any questions about it, please let us know. We'd be happy to help. Additionally, on HeroX, this is where we'll do all of our communications to you as well. Again, anything important, we'll post that here, send you notifications, etc. All right. Now that we know a little bit about HeroX and how to apply for the prize, I want to talk through each of the submission materials for everybody. So for phase 1, you are going to submit these 5 documents. You're going to do the cover page, the portfolio narrative, the PowerPoint summary slide. You're going to submit evidence of your completion of the Introduction to Community Solar course and a narrative. So the cover page is actually not a separate upload. It is going to be completed on HeroX, and it's going to have this basic information about your submission, such as the submission title, the organization name, the point of contact, etc. Please make sure that you fill out all of this information to the best of your ability. This is very helpful for us, and if you don't, we will contact you and ask you to complete that. These starred elements here, such as the submission title, the organization name, city and state, and URL, will be made public on HeroX after we announce our winners. The next item is the summary slide. So you need to complete a single slide summary in PowerPoint that contains some specific technical details about your submission, about your projects, about the meaningful benefits that you're going to provide that can be understood by a non-technical audience, because this summary slide will be made public on HeroX after we announce winners. So you can think of this summary slide as a high-level overview of your organization and portfolio. And then just as a note too, is that often this is the first item that our reviewers will look at to get again, that high-level summary of your team and your projects, your overview. So make sure that you complete this, and it's one single slide uploaded as a PDF. So for the portfolio narrative, this is our next one. This is where you'll provide basic information about your expected community benefiting distributed solar portfolio to be developed over the course of the prize. You'll want to focus on describing two things: the portfolio of projects you're planning to develop and your vision strategy for your organization's long-term growth as a solar developer. We have a template available on HeroX to help guide your responses, but this is not required. A support submission element of phase one is to complete the Introduction to Community Solar course through our partners at the University of New Hampshire. So the Intro to Community Solar course is intended to help teams understand how to become a community solar, a solar project developer for projects that include those 5 meaningful benefits. The course approximately takes 3 to 4 hours to complete, and we will be asking to submit the HeroX email that you use to register for the course, as well as the date of completion. We have had this requirement before, so we know that there are many competitors who have already completed this course and passed it. So if that is you, you are not required to retake the course as long as it's been within the past year. But you will be required to provide the email address and the date of completion in your submission. All right, the final submission requirement is the narrative, which is really the heart of your phase one submission. For the narrative, we are asking you to respond to a series of questions and prompts within 2 areas. First is the organization and team. And so you should be describing your organization, the past experience, and your team, and how your team would benefit from participation in the Community Power Accelerator Prize. The next section is the disadvantaged community engagement. And in this section, you should describe what is your plan to engage and work with underserved and disadvantaged communities in which you plan to develop your community benefiting distributed solar portfolio. You'll have 3,500 words to answer all of these 2 areas. We do have a template available for you to use. It is not required, but it is encouraged. And then you can find more information about the narrative in the rules starting on page 20. And then just quickly too, I'm going to talk about scoring in the next couple of slides, but on the screenshot here on the right of the slide, you'll see what you can provide in terms of content. And then also then in the right column is the judging criteria. So this is what we're going to be judging your narrative on. So, it's pretty one-for-one if you're providing information about a description of your mission and goals and how they align with the prize goal, etc. You're going to be graded highly as well, because that's what we're looking for as part of the judging criteria. So each submission will be reviewed by a panel of reviewers who will be scoring and providing comments. Reviewers will review all of the submission elements and then score the narrative based on the judging criteria statements that we just mentioned on a 1 to 6 scale as shown on this slide. So the 1, they strongly disagree, to 6, strongly disagree, or strongly agree. So this is how our reviewers will be scoring. And CETO is the final judge and will make selections based on reviewer scores, comments, and program policy factors, which I'll go into in just a moment. But also, so we mentioned that reviewers will be providing comments. We will provide all those comments to our teams after announcement. So that way you can know what you might have missed, what was really great about your submission, what we would like to see for the next time, etc. So you will get those comments back after we announce winners in phase one. So as I just mentioned, winner selections are based not only on scores and comments from reviewers, but also in part on various program policy factors, such as geographic diversity of potential winners, diversity in project or program type, or the degree to which the submission supports and complements DOE's existing programs and strategies to achieve DOE goals. So this is just some of the policy factors. I would really encourage you to read through all of the program policy factors that are listed in the rules on page 53, or 45, excuse me. All right, and so before we go into our Q&A, we're getting close to the end of this webinar. I wanted to quickly go through phase 2 and phase 3 and what you can expect as competitors. So phase 2 will begin in February 2025, shortly after our phase 1 winners are announced. Up to 25 teams will be eligible to receive $200,000 in cash, and then will be eligible to compete in phase 3. So in phase 2, those competitors will be participating in the Community Power Accelerator Foundations course, which is that live remote course designed to educate developers on distributed solar in disadvantaged communities. We don't have exact dates for you, and we'll get that information for our phase 1 winners, but it is expected to run from February 2025 through April 2025. It usually is hosted 1 day a week, and you can expect to commit at least 6 to 8 weeks, though, or 8 hours per week during the February through April 2025. And again, those will be held weekly, and it's a 90-minute Zoom session. In addition, phase 2 competitors will also complete the credit ready checklist, list their portfolio of projects on the Accelerator Marketplace. You'll need to obtain site control, provide a pro forma, and provide an investor pitch deck. I will say phase 2 is a large lift. It's a lot of items that you'll be submitting, but it is like the chunk of this prize, the meat of it, as I should say. So this one is also why we have the largest amount of cash to award during phase 2. And as Ali had mentioned earlier, we will have technical assistance available that you can use in phase 2. Now, phase 3, this is all about securing your investment through the Community Power Accelerator for your projects. We anticipate this beginning in September of 2025, again, shortly after the first set of our phase 2 winners are announced. We'll be selecting up to 25 teams to receive the $150,000 in cash. So during this phase, our teams will begin to engage on the marketplace, the Community Power Accelerator Marketplace. They should be using this marketplace to secure investments from capital providers for their portfolios of at least 1 megawatt of their 2 projects. And then additionally, in terms of phase 3, teams will need to have attended at least 1 investor pitch or networking event. We'll provide more information about that in phase 2 and phase 3, what that will be, what time it is or date it is, and everything that our teams can participate in. But that will be an expectation that you will need to attend that event. And then additionally, you'll need to demonstrate and provide evidence that your team will be incorporating at least 3 of those 5 meaningful benefits, which again, 2 of them are required to be in your portfolio. If you're wanting more information also about phase 2 and phase 3, you can check them out in the rules. Again, we are just giving you a quick high-level overview there. So now that we have all this information for you, we hope you are as excited as we are for this prize. I wanted to give you some additional information for you to get started, some action items. So first, if you have not already followed the prize on HeroX, make sure you do. You can scan that QR code. You can also go to the link into the chat that we've posted earlier. Make sure that you join the National Community Solar Partnership Plus. Make sure you follow that. And then in order to get ready for your submission, make sure you read the rules. This is so important. Read the rules, make sure you know what to submit, what we're judging on, etc. Sign up for the Introduction to Community Solar course and complete that before the deadline. Connect with our power connectors, EFN, Tom or Cassie. These are their contact information. Again, we'll put those into the chat. You can also find those on HeroX. And then submit by December 17th by 5 p.m. Eastern. We will not be accepting late submissions. So, make sure that you submit by that deadline. I've had in the past where competitors will have technical difficulties and everything, and just submit early, and then you can always edit your submission up till 5 p.m. If you have any additional questions for us outside of our webinar, you can always email us at communitypower@nrel.gov, or of course you can post on the HeroX forum. We encourage that actually, just so that way everyone can see your question and we can respond publicly there as well. All right, now we'll move into our Q&A. So please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box. Don't put them into the chat, and then we will answer them. So I will have Ali join me on camera again to help with these questions. And I'll pull up.
So the first question, Kaylee, while you're reorienting
Yeah,
yourself to the
thanks.
Q&A, is, and I really like this question, is the prize appropriate for more experienced developers that is particularly interested in using the prize money to support projects with meaningful benefits? The resounding answer is absolutely yes. We do encourage this. We are totally game to see applications that really want to deepen and level up their use of the meaningful benefits. So 100% yes. I'm going to click done on that. Another good one. Can we submit an application as a partnership, i.e. two developers partnering together on projects? Yes, 100%. This is what Tom was getting into with his role as the power connector. We actually really do encourage teaming. Since we're in the third round of this, it's not our first rodeo. So we've seen how teams in round 1 and round 2 are infinitely more successful in developing these projects when they actually work in partnership. So the resounding answer to that is also yes. Haley, do you see one that you are jazzed to answer?
Let's see. Sorry, you can go ahead, Allie, if you have one.
Yeah. So I just kind of cherry picked some of these from the chat
Yeah.
here. So there's one from Daniel. Daniel, thanks for the question. Saying that his organization is comprised of a headquarters and then 8 regional affiliate offices. Can you confirm if we can submit multiple applications or if we are limited to one? And if you are limited to one, can you still apply with proposed projects that span mainland US and US territories? And are there geographical constraints? Lot in this question. So answer to the first one, can you submit multiple applications? No, please only submit one. Please only submit one application. It does so much more justice to us judging your applications if we see one concerted application. Please and thank you.
And sorry, Ellie,
Yeah,
just to jump in there. I see this question also has that if each affiliate office has their own EIN, yes, only one per entire organization, not if you have separate offices in California and Colorado and New York, etc. Just one per organization. Sorry, Ellie, go on.
Yeah, no, love it. Good catch up the nuance, Kaylee. And then geographical constraints. Yeah, in my biggest daydreams, I would love if we could have a prize like this that worked internationally. We can't, the US Department of Energy is very focused on our national issues here. So yes, the prize portfolio should consist of the mainland US and US territories, please. But great question, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah, this next question here, page 23 said single projects are not eligible, and also at least 1 megawatt. So these are not rooftop installs. Does this mean that there needs to be at least 2 different projects that are total at least 1 megawatt? That is correct. You need to have 2 different projects that total at least 1 megawatt. If you have more than 1 megawatt, great, but you don't need to. That's not a requirement. You just need to have at least 1 megawatt across 2 projects.
So if you had, for instance, this is, I think maybe the same Daniel or a different Daniel. Daniel's rolling with the questions. So if you have multiple rooftop projects, that's great, right? We can work with that. It just can't be, you can't, for instance, apply for this prize and be like, I want to put, solar on my house because it helps with my energy bills. No, that's not going to work. But yes, must total that at least 1 megawatt. So great.
Next question, if you are a nonprofit, do you need to have received the determination letter in order to be eligible, or otherwise do you need a fiscal sponsor? We're not asking for like your 501c3 determination letter in your submission requirements or anything like that. And I would say like on the back end in terms of fiscal sponsor, again, we're not requiring that as part of the prize. You can read more information about what the requirements are for the prize. As long as you're, again, having that 1 megawatt across 2 projects, incorporating those 3 meaningful benefits. of course, I think it's always best to have that 501c3 letter or some type of determination letter from the IRS if you're going to be a nonprofit, but we don't require that. Allie, anything else you want to add?
No, thanks for taking it.
Yep. All right, our next question, if it is a portfolio of a municipal, do they need to directly benefit households? In a state that community solar is not legal, this is difficult to achieve. Yeah, so we do have that they do need to benefit households. It's Allie, what is it? 40%, sorry,
So it's
generated
50%
for
of the
50%.
benefits. So follow me for a second. This is on page 9 of the official rules, by the way. If you want to get nitty gritty into those meaningful benefits, you're going to find them on page 9. Sorry, I've been copy pasting feverishly into the Q&A. But yes, so it's 50% of the benefits or the value of the electricity produced, and it must be reserved for those LMI beneficiaries. But understanding, yes, these are difficult and very, in particular states.
And also, like, since this is our third round of this prize, we have seen some very creative models and such before in previous rounds, but we're happy to talk through what that can look like for you and everything. So if you have questions, please send us an email or post them on the HeroX forum.
And I see someone asking a very easy question. If we can, this is an anonymous attendee, how do we sign up for the introductory course? Is it available from the HeroX link? Not sure if it's available from the HeroX link, but our friend and colleague Carly can put that link in the chat for you. It should already be there, but if you join late, I'm not sure if you have access to it. So we'll go ahead and copy paste that into the chat again.
We'll also have that on HeroX, and I don't think it is there now, but we'll post it under the resources so anyone can access it. It's also in the rules, so you can go to the rules and find it as part of the submission requirements and access the course there or sign up for the course there.
Yeah. Another good link to put in here, past project winners. I really do actually recommend this as a best practice if you're going to apply for this prize, is reading through the 2 HeroX pages that we have for round 1 and round 2. It gives you a really good flavor. I know you might not be necessarily focused on community solar. These are community solar projects, but it does give you a really good sense of the kinds of teamwork and organizations and like how they're going to be delivering some of these benefits. It's a really good way as a best practice to kind of benchmark yourself. So Carly, if we can put the links again into the HeroX, to the 2 HeroX pages in the chat, that would be wonderful.
And also those are in the rules document as well. So post this webinar, if you're reading through the rules, you can access it there as well.
Just reading some more here. There are some really specific project questions which we might have to answer offline. Appreciate those. They do require a little bit more thought than operating on the fly here. So want to make sure that, again, all the question and answer that we're doing today is going to be posted on the round 3 HeroX page. Let's see. Carly, are you seeing any that you want to take? Just making sure we haven't missed any. There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, there's more of the specific ones. But there's one that has been, let's see, looking through just some of our answered ones. We here, if you're wanting to get technical support or wanting to join the Community Power Accelerator, again, you can do that without having to participate in the prize, or not the technical assistance. If you want to join the Community Power Accelerator, please do so. You can do that without doing the prize. The technical assistance we have for phase 2 and phase 3 winners, but I believe also we have some assistance with the Community Power Accelerator, right, Allie, the technical assistance if you need that. So you can also get that outside of the prize. We do also have just like that personalized one for our phase 2 and phase 3 winners. Yeah, Allie, I'm seeing just
Oh, I
specific
like this
question.
question because we
Yeah.
don't get a ton of questions about, like the panels themselves and the racking. So thanks, Mark. What technical or commercial maturity is required for the solar component? Sounds like you guys are developing some cool PV. There isn't. Yeah, so this is not a requirement of this prize. I'm sure you've seen other prizes where that most certainly comes into play, but nope, that is not a requirement here. So thanks for the question, Mark.
And then another question, is there a benefit to submitting multiple projects as part of the portfolio? If 2 projects already total to 1 megawatt, would there be any benefit to submitting 3 projects as part of that total portfolio? So again, the minimum is 2 projects across or up to 1 megawatt. And if you want to submit 3 projects or more, that's great. You're not going to be held to that standard in phase 2 or phase 3. Now, part of the prize goals is to scale. And so if you are able to do 3 projects, then that's great. And we can see that you are wanting to scale and that you have the desire to do more than just 2 projects in one. So I think it is really beneficial if you want to submit more than 2 projects over 1 megawatt. That's great because then that shows us that you have this desire.
Hey, Kaylee, just jumping in
Yeah.
here. For any questions that aren't addressed from the Q&A, would you like those to go directly to that email that we shared earlier, or will they be posted on HeroX?
Any of the questions that are not answered here will be posted onto HeroX. And then if anyone has any additional questions, please post them on HeroX on the forum. You can also send us an email at communitypower@nrel.gov, but it's easier for us to do the HeroX forum.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Carly.
So we have a few more, just a few more minutes here. I want to particularly call out, because I think this is an important question for the kind of work that we're trying to do here. Are projects on reservations of federally recognized tribes eligible? Thanks to my colleague Jonathan, yes. This is a resounding yes. We would love to see these projects. We saw some in round 2 and round 1. But that is, something we are looking to invest in through this prize. So please do apply.
And then I see also Jonathan answered another question. Thank you, Jonathan. And so just wondering what the similarities or differences are from round 3 to the previous round 1 or round 2 prizes. And just so you all know, round 1 and round 2 were exclusively for community solar, whereas this round is a much broader for different business models and everything. So we're trying to expand this for the prize. Also, in previous rounds, we had only 2 meaningful benefits were required. This one requires 3. So thank you, Jonathan, for answering that. But you can find more information about the eligibility and the differences for round 3 and those business models in the official rules. All right. One last question before we wrap up. Is full site control required for portfolio submission? For phase 1, it is not required, but for phase 2, that is a requirement. You must have site control for your projects in phase 2. And if you don't have site control for phase 2, you won't be able to pass for that, but we do have 2 submission deadlines for phase 2. All right, Allie, is there any last questions you want to answer before we wrap up?
Nope. Close us out, Kaylee.
Thanks. Well, thank you all for joining today's informational webinar for the Community Power Accelerator Prize Round 3. Really excited that you're interested in this prize. As mentioned previously, any of your questions asked during this webinar will be posted on HeroX at a later date with all of the answers, as well as any of them that we have previously answered. This webinar is being recorded, and we will also post this onto HeroX with the slide deck so you can review this. If you have any questions, though, please feel free to post on the HeroX forum, as well as you can send us an email at communitypower@nrel.gov. Thank you all. We appreciate your interest in the Community Power Accelerator Prize.